Hey everybody, it's Christy back with another video, and today we are going to paint some simple Valentines. I thought since Valentine's Day is coming up and it's a time when a lot of people like to send mail, I would go ahead and show you some fun, simple ways to paint Valentines. But my twist is we're going to do it on black watercolor paper with metallic watercolor. So let's get started. All right, ladies and gentlemen, so today we are going to go ahead and just paint some Valentines. I am using black watercolor paper from Legion. So this is their Aqua Coldpress black paper. It is a paper that I like using quite a bit. I just have a 7x10 sheet of it taped down into 4 little sections. I don't know, I didn't tape it so that I could get crisp borders because I'm not going to do wet on wet because it's black and we're going to use metallic paints. But I did figure it would just give me a little bit of spacing so that I could get things kind of centered in each of these squares. So I'm doing this on black paper, and I'm going to do it with my Paul Rubens metallic watercolors because I haven't played with them in a hot minute. They were downstairs in my house, and I just brought them up and thought that I would play with them. So while I go through the rest of my supplies, I'm going to wet these first because they do perform a little bit better if they've been wet down. So I'm just taking my spray bottle to them. So that is what we're going to be working with today. I'm also going to use some white gouache. This white gouache is from Royal Talons. It is pretty nice white gouache. I like it a lot. I've been using it a bunch lately. I have a water cup and a little rag here. The 3 watercolor brushes I'm planning on using to start today are my EmJxCraftamo 8 round because it's got a shorter bristle here and I can have a little bit more control. We've got a Rosemary and Company red dot pointed number 4 brush and a Princeton Velvetouch number 2 round brush. So those are the 3 brushes I'm going to use today. They were just 3 of the right sizes, and I don't want my 8 to hold a lot of water, but I do want my 2 to hold a lot of water. So that was why I chose the brushes that I chose, and then the 4 will hold a decent amount of water and also is known for having a nice point. The last thing that I have here today is this little pouch, which has my Archer and Olive Acrylograph markers in it, and these are just some paint markers, but they have a nice nib on them. So at the end, if we want to do any details with that, we will. So what are we painting today? So we're going to paint some balloons, just some heart balloons. We're going to paint the word love with a heart for the O. We're going to paint a love robot, and then I'm going to do a floral piece up here. So nothing terribly earth-shattering, but I think that the idea of a handmade card or Valentine is that you just want something that is cute and handmade and easy. You don't want to make it too complicated. I think the point is to give somebody something that you made, not to make it overly complicated. I also would like to say that all of these things could easily be done with regular watercolor on white paper or acrylic paint on canvas paper. So you could even do this with colored pencil. Really, these ideas are just meant to kind of give you some sparks for things. I wanted to pick some things that were a little bit more gender neutral, like balloons and the robot. And then I do want to do a floral just because that is my favorite thing to do. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to paint. This isn't really a tutorial. I just figured that I would show you what I'm going to do. I may talk through it as I go, or I may end up doing a voiceover at the end, so we shall see. Voiceover Christy here. So I did decide to end up with a voiceover here. The process took a little bit longer to paint than I had originally thought it might. Which, if you're watching here, you can see that I'm just going to go through and start the balloon hearts. They required some layering, so they were something that I kept coming back and forth with the whole process, but I do really like how that one ended up turning out. And then I went ahead and I started painting some florals. So I ended up in the upper right hand corner doing a little bit of a metallic floral piece. Certainly, if you are comfortable painting watercolor florals, that's a great idea for a Valentine's Day card. But if you're not, then you could have done something simpler, just a simple flower or a big heart or several layered hearts, all of that would be a great idea there. But it's something that I'm comfortable doing, so I wanted to do a card like that. You'll notice one thing in particular about my Valentines, and that is that there is not a lot of scripty lettering or writing on them at all. I wrote the word love on the one card, but other than that, there's no words at all. I am not particularly great with brush lettering or lettering in general. I always feel like I should just not do that because it's not my forte. And so I end up liking it a lot better when I just paint something without words. Because I was a card maker for years, if I was going to add sentiments to these, I would probably do stamping, or like stamping on a strip and adding it at the last minute to the card. So that is something that you can do if you are comfortable with that and you have stamps. But I honestly don't think that you need a sentiment on the front of any of these cards. Valentines are meant to be cute and just to tell someone you love them, and I think all of these do that. So I'm just working on some greenery here in the floral piece. I think it really did turn out nice. I've got a peony there, a rose there, and just like a little, I don't even remember, like a hellebore maybe is what those are called. And then we're putting some little berries in. And at this stage, I remember thinking, oh, those berries are so red, they are not going to match the rest of the piece, but they end up just fine. And I used the red actually because I liked it in several of the other pieces. I end up going back and using it quite a few times. So I'm glad that I pulled that red metallic. But you can see just watching this how absolutely beautiful these Paul Rubens metallic paints are. They are among my favorite. I just love working with them. I think that they are absolutely phenomenal. I'm going back here over these hearts because there are a couple colors in this palette that are very glittery, and I wanted something that was a little bit more pearlescent. So I went over those and I really liked that pink. So I'm now using it to paint the heart in the word love. And your hearts don't have to be perfect. You'll notice mine are always a little bit wonky. I seem to do better at one side than the other, but that's the point of a handmade Valentine, is for it to be beautiful and for the person receiving it to really see that you did it yourself and that you put love into it. Now I'm using this color that is almost like a shape. It's a shape-shifting color. It's one of my favorite colors in this palette. It's a little bit blue, a little bit purple, a little bit pink. And so I end up using this color a whole lot in this particular set of Valentines. Then we move over to the little robot, and I have a silver in this palette. The silver is a little bit splotchy sometimes, so I end up having to go over him a couple different times. You'll see there that the silver on the neck and the body look a lot more opaque, so I go back over the face at some point. But I love the idea of a little love robot. I think that that kind of a card is so fun and cute, and kids would love it, but adults would love it too. And it's just a really cute little way to kind of, you know, make a card that's not filled with hearts and flowers, because some people don't want that on Valentine's Day. A lot of people do, but some people don't. And so I thought it was cute and really, really fun. And so you could really draw your robot any way you want. You could make him any color you want. I think that all of these designs would translate really well to just about any medium. So don't just think, oh, this is watercolor, I can't go and do this. You could do this with acrylic paint or gouache. You could do this with colored pencil. I think all of these designs work really well if you used colored pencil on them too. So now I'm going back to the hearts, and I am finally layering them up a little bit. And I use that same color I used for the love down below. I like how it turned out, and it was able to kind of hold up over the pink. And even now when I'm looking at this, I'm realizing that I'm probably going to need to outline those balloons to make them look nice and separated. And I do end up doing that at the end of everything. So you'll see that later. I'm going back in and putting some little golden details into the floral piece and adding some little stems for my berries. I don't think I do a ton more to the floral piece. I think it's pretty much finished. I might add I can't remember if I went back and added anything else to that. But I am just hopping around between each one. Now I'm going to go in and I'm going to fill out the little hearts on the one that says love. You certainly could have done more with that piece if you wanted to. You could have added flowers to it. I just wanted these to be simple and quick. I'm coloring in the middle of the balloons now to make it seem like there is a balloon underneath the balloons that's just kind of peeking out. That was always my intention, and I'm filling the little heart in on the robot guy. He is super cute, and I made his mouth the same color. And then I went ahead, and some of the hearts on that piece end up being that red. I think the other ones I end up doing silver later on. And then I'm going back into the face now and adding some more silver because, like I said, it looked a little bit streaky to me and I wanted it to look just a little bit cleaner. I'm going in and just doing some touch-ups there. And then we finally go in and we paint the last balloon in on the balloons there, and I'm using that purple that I used for the peony, and it turned out really, really cute. In the final design, I end up, once it dries, deciding that that balloon's going to be tucked underneath the one on the right, and it turns out really, really cute. Yeah, I do go back to the floral piece and add just a couple things on the right side there because it was definitely feeling a little bit unloved. I looked at, so one thing I do with my floral pieces is I go back and kind of look at them later and see, do they have balance? Do they need something to be a little bit more balanced? And as I was looking at that, I saw that that right side just needed a little bit more. So I added some greenery and I think that was the perfect touch. And now I'm just going in and doing some silver hearts here to finish up the robot. And I think that is probably about where I stopped for the painting portion of this exercise. It looks like I'm still debating, oh, I needed to do those hearts on the little guy there. Yep. So I added those little hearts, and then that, I guess we're going to find out, is it? Yes. So now we're going to go ahead and we're going to use the Acrylograph markers to just outline some things. I mainly use the white Acrylograph marker. I went ahead and I outlined the balloons in white, and it just helped them to pop a little bit. It just gave a little bit of contrast. If I was doing this on white paper, I probably would have just outlined them in black, or I might not have needed to outline them at all. It just would depend. But with metallics, I did think that that would make them stand out a little bit better. And then I added some little strings coming off of them in all the directions, just so that they were kind of floating on the page. And then I went in and I started doing the eyes on my robot. I ended up outlining the whole robot. I know here you're only going to see me outline part of the robot, but I do go back in at the end and I did some touch-ups off camera after I looked at them for a while. I end up outlining that whole robot. I outlined the heart and the word love, again, just giving a little bit of symmetry and balance to things. I put some little shiny spots on my balloons there, and I go in and I'm just going to end up doing black in the eyes to make them nice. Oh, and I do outline the red on the heart and on the mouth, which I think was a perfect idea. So yeah, and that is about it for the voiceover, and now I'm going to come back on and you'll hear me talk in real time. All right, so I ended up doing a voiceover and speeding this up a little bit because just because of the drying time, it took a little bit longer. But I think these turned out super cute. We've got balloons up here that are outlined in white. You could have done the same thing and used black outlines if you were using white watercolor paper. Here we have a loose floral, and you could do something as complicated or as simple as this. You could simply paint a couple of daisies or one flower, whatever you want. This is my wheelhouse, so it was an easy thing for me to put down. But if you're looking for more easy ideas, let me know, because I can maybe do a couple of shorts with alternatives for this particular one. I love how love turned out here. And again, just making the O a heart. And then we've got our little robot guy. I did end up off camera going back and outlining him completely. I didn't outline his arms and legs at first, and I just thought it would look better if I did. And I'm glad that I did. So now I'm just going to take the tape off gently, because this is black hot press water or hard cold press watercolor paper. It looks like I went this way first. I don't remember. Yeah. Woo, we've got tape on tape here. And then after we take the tape off, yeah, this is definitely sticking to the tape. But at least it'll give me some guidelines as to where to cut it out. Okay. So it did give us a nice tape line down there. So yeah, there are 4 easy Valentines. You can just cut them apart and either make them into little postcards or just hand them out if you're handing out Valentines, or you could go ahead and turn them into greeting cards by cutting these off and mounting them on a greeting card. So hopefully this was a cute video for you and you enjoyed the content. I always like ideas that are simple for cards that don't take a lot of time, because I think that a card is a smaller surface and I think that it is a fun surface. I also am not somebody who likes to do lettering. So I wanted to provide some ideas where you don't have to put a scripty word into something for it to look nice, because my handwriting isn't the best. And I think sometimes you can do things without sentiments. If I was going to add sentiments to this, truly, I would use stamps, because I do have a ton of acrylic stamps and I was a card maker before I was really into watercolor. So that's what I would do if I was really into the idea of adding sentiments. I think my better way to do it would just be to leave this on the front and then write a nice message inside the card or on the back. So are you going to make homemade Valentines? Are you going to do some with your kids? If so, hopefully these gave you some ideas, and I can't wait to hear about what you're doing for homemade Valentine's Day stuff in the comments below. And that's going to be it for me today. I hope that this inspires you to make somebody you love something today, and we will see you guys in the next video. Bye for now.